All right, all right, all right, all right. Oh boy, it's another week. I cannot believe it. Like, I am actually quite worried. The week goes so fast. And before you know it, it's Monday, it's Tuesday, and then before you know it, it's Friday, and then before you know it again, it's Monday. But you know one thing that doesn't change? It's the amount of fun that we have here at Nerd Night. And yeah, everyone, welcome aboard. If you've just jumped in, it's great to have you here. I am ready for us to jump right in. And you can tell we've got some pretty awesome music going on there in the background if you're listening. If you're wondering who it is who it is you're hearing his voice, it is your boy Sammy Chucks. And I'm going to get to introduce myself a little bit, but I'll probably say that I'm probably the less important person today on this episode of Nerd Night. And it's episode number 60. Yeah. I cannot believe it. We have actually, we've been going strong since episode 1. We've had 60 episodes of Nerd Night. You know what that means? It means we've been doing Nerd Night now for more than a year. And every single week it gets even better. So everyone, buckle in. We've got an amazing show for you all. And yeah, look, if you're wondering who it is that I'm calling Abe, well, if you haven't seen that on LinkedIn, we do have the amazing Abraham Reyes here, who's joining me in the backstage today, and we're having some fun. Hey, what do you reckon about that?
100%. Yeah, I'm keen to get on.
That's
Let's
it.
go.
That's it. That's good stuff. It's good stuff. All right, everyone. Let's dive right in. Let's waste no time. I'm gonna get Abe to jump right in, and then we can begin the show. So if you've obviously jumped in, and you're wondering what are we doing here, I'll probably advise you go grab a cup of coffee or Red Bull or water. I've got my 2-liter bottle of water here, and I have my coffee and a bit of honey in it. Don't judge me, but I can guarantee you one thing today is that we've got an amazing show installed for you all. And I was thinking the other day, what do you call a cockroach that sits down, by your desk and listens to every single keystroke that you type in on your keyboard, so that it can transmit it to a van packed outside your house, right? This is how we begin the conspiracy theory. Would that be would you call that a spy or a keylogger or a malware? Hey, what do you reckon?
A keylogger.
Man, it can be any of that. So that is it. So as uncaught and untouched as that is exactly how uncaught Nerd Night today is going to be. So everyone, thank you so much for jumping in. Look, like I said, we have a really amazing show. We are going to go through the segment as usual. We are going to talk trash talk, as we've already started after our introduction. And I've got some amazing insights to drag, I was gonna say, drill out of Abe today. But I'm sure he's gonna be quite accepting of my questions and answer them, including giving us his credit card details. Hey, mate, what do you reckon? This is the perfect time to give us your credit card details because we need the money anyway. So you will be helping some poor children in Africa. All right, guys, and then after that insight from an ex, we're going to dive right into threat landscape. You guys know your one and only highly beloved segment of the day, threat landscape, where we basically go under the underbelly of the threat landscape, the bleeding edge of it, and then under the heart of the dark web and what is happening there in the interweb. So as you all know, in cybersecurity, nothing sleeps. If you sleep for 1 month, you come back with so many things changing. So you can always, be sure that we are going to keep you up to date and let you know what is going on. I'm just going to double check that people online can hear my voice as well. So I think we should be all good online. So now it's good. Thanks so much everyone for jumping in. And then obviously if we have some time, we're going to do some CTF as usual. We're going to see if we can play some, sorry, I was playing myself there. So we're going to be diving right in to see if we can play some either KC7 or BTLO, or we can do some live hacking. Why not? Because anything can happen at Nerd Night. And then we finish up with some shameless plug from CyLynk.com, right? Because why not? We can make some money whilst we have fun. Hey, isn't that the best combination? Having fun and making money. All right, look, I genuinely want to thank you for jumping into the call. I'm obviously going to give you an opportunity to to say hi to the community, those out there. But before we dive right in, let's go through some quick introductions. Sorry, everyone. My name is Sammy Chucks, and I'm your one and only The malware alchemist. Yes, officially, I'm taking that name from Nathan. You know, the board cyber genius. You know, the cyber leader and I don't know, and rescuer. You know, cyber savior and the cyber Yoda and AKA Pepu. You know, demon, whatever the name is. This is probably now going down the pathway of self-congratulatory. So, and I often like to tell myself that I'm very humble. So because of that, I'm going to stop. But you guys know me. I'm the CEO and founder of CyLynk, Hck4G, and essentially the Link Group as well. And you all know that we're building something quite special, right? We're not just building a business that solves problems. We're building a business of impact that also solves problems as well. Right from the very first business, which is a non-for-profit, Hck4G, that is disrupting cybercrime in underserved communities and untapped regions globally. And you know, thanks so much to Abe for obviously volunteering to that as well. And Abe is going to be there on the 15th, you know, of November for the Hck4G CTF and Con, which I'm going to talk about. We do have some giveaways today. So if you're there in the comment section, I am going to be asking some questions. And if you can answer those questions, you will be getting a ticket, a highway free ticket pass to Hck4G conference in on the 15th of November 2025. And I can guarantee you it's going to be awesome. Hands-on workshop, Pepper Teaming Start workshop, training, insight from experts, panelists, leaders in cybersecurity, and what have you. So, and you can expect to see your boy, your amazing guest here, Abe, as well at the event. Well, one of the things I love doing is essentially, you know, sharing my insight and sharing my knowledge, and this is something that myself and Abe, you know, has in common. So, Abe, look, I'll let you essentially introduce yourself and maybe give us some fun fact about you, mate.
Okay. Well, you've mentioned my name a few times. My name is Abraham. Everybody calls me Abe. I've been in cybersecurity nearly 6 years now. I've been in IT for a long, long time. Maybe coming close to 20 years, believe it or not. Yeah.
No, it's good. It's good stuff, right? And the reality, though, Abe, is that wasn't it just like 5 years ago that the whole thing called cybersecurity became a thing? You know, like, you know, those days it used to be called information security, you know, and you just somehow stumbles into cyber. So I'm quite excited to hear your story from, you know, from JB Hi-Fi, you know, to, you know, doing some, you know, cyber shenanigan, you know, building and destroying things. So I'm keen to hear your story. What is one fun fact about you, mate?
Fun fact. I like mountain bike riding. That's pretty random, and I like playing games. I just got Battlefield 6, so I'm keen to play that.
Nice. Well, I'm not. I do like playing video games, but I haven't been into much of video game playing lately. Obviously, as you can tell, there's quite a lot to do. There's quite a lot to do recently. So, but I do. I think when I played the game, I actually preferred playing you know, the likes of what is it, FIFA. You know, like playing games with
Like
you know,
casual.
yeah. So I played that quite a lot. Like I remember I had this friend in Africa that we would both play, you know, a game marathon, which is pretty much, you know, from night to dawn. We basically just play game all night long. That was all we did. And, you know, to keep things fun, literally this is no joke. To keep things fun, we would you know, decide that, look, the game is too boring now. We need to spice things up. And then we would essentially, you know, do the thing where if you scored a goal against anyone, you punch them in the face. Yeah, I can tell you it wasn't a very you know, PG you know, event there, but it was pretty awesome. You know, I had a blast with this guy, and it was amazing to, you know, get to actually, you know, I guess play with him and have a bit of fun. Still trying to work out this stuff. Why isn't it showing me what I want it to show me? There you go. Oh, that might be better. There you go. That's what I wanted. So, so Abe, yeah, just tell us a little bit about, you know, what sort of games you like to play. I think you've talked about one of them. What sort of game else?
I play sort of like first person shooters mainly because I can have like a 30-minute round and then just log off. I don't need to commit
Thank you, Lord
long-term
Jesus.
time to these games.
Yeah.
So yeah, casual gaming's what I'm into. So mainly first-person shooters. I like playing the new Call of Duty as well. And
Nice.
I play Minecraft with my kids, and they're into Roblox and things like that. But yeah, it's very controversial Roblox these days.
Now, at least it's not monopoly because you'll be teaching them how to be evil capitalists in the world. Now it's great. I think that's one thing that people obviously don't know about you is that you're actually a dad. So that is pretty incredible. I'm sure you're gonna share a little bit of that story with us as we go. But hey, do you know what the next segment is? I'm gonna find my soundboard. Where is my soundboard, people? Like seriously, someone just needs to call me every single day that and go, hey, Sammy, do not forget to find your soundboard because you need it for the crowd, cheering and all that good stuff. Where is it? Where is it? I'm looking for a nice one. Apologies, Abe. You would not be able to hear any of this. Only those online will be able to hear it. So, including the fart sound, fart sound effect, and all of that good stuff. All right, look, everyone, let the drum roll for the next segment of the night. Right? What is that going to be? I think everyone kind of already knows this already. All right. It is Threat Landscape. All right. The only segment of the night where we basically have so much fun. Sorry, I said threat landscape. It's trash talk. Where is trash talk? Where is my trash talk slide? What happened to it? There you go. Somehow hidden here. Well, Abe, the first prompt. I don't think you've actually played trash talk before, but how trash talk works is that it doesn't work. That's the point of it. There's no rules. You can talk any rubbish or trash that you want to talk about, aside from swearing and having to go at anyone directly or being sexually explicit. Aside from those three non-rules, you can have fun. And then for the prompt for today, the first prompt is AI or human. Who really is the real defender in this case, in this day and age? What do you reckon? Are we all out of a job, mate?
It has to be the human. I don't think the AI is ready to be trusted. Like the outputs that are coming out of these things are very, very interesting some of the time.
Yeah, I think we're gonna give you a hand clap for that. Well done, mate. You are back in humans, strong and steady. I like it. So what one of the things I'm seeing recently is that, like, I was saying to someone recently that if you use AI for everything, like it's almost like just put it this way, it's like saying that you want to start using AI to drive a plane when you have never been you've never flown a plane before. Well, you can almost imagine what is going to happen when you do that, right? The same way that if you do not know anything about cybersecurity or if you do not know anything about anything and you try to bypass it by using AI to generate results, or in this case, to cyber defend, you are going to find out very quickly, probably in the not so nice way, that you have basically committed a big blunder. And I think what I've just learned, and I think I did a talk about this quite recently in Melbourne at one of the Hack4Good meetups that we did. And what I was basically sharing with people is that AI is basically a force multiplier. It 10x's whatever you're already good at, right? So, which means it's really bad for anything foundational. So you don't want to use AI to start learning anything. You don't want to use AI for your defenses. Now, obviously, a hybrid of this is probably what I'm going to go with, right? My point is that if you have someone who's already really good at their game, let's say a threat hunter or a security engineer or a threat intel analyst or a vulnerability analyst or a vulnerability researcher, because these guys have spent years and years and years honing their skills, they're actually able to leverage AI to solve problems more complex than, and at a faster rate. Because I find the productivity is really where AI shines, right? You can do something that would have taken you, I don't know, 10 years to do. Yeah, I'm obviously exaggerating there, but do you have anything to add to that, Abe?
I think when you say a multiplier, I think that's spot on because I feel like I get a lot of work done, like the administration of things can be automated. Like there's a lot of stuff that you can automate that's uh not really valuable in the day-to-day
Yeah.
operation. So yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. Like, I think at the end of the day, right? Like, I'm not quite sure what the future holds. Now, please tell me if you do know, Abe. I'm sure there will be a lot of people who offer you big dollars for you to tell them what the future holds. But one thing I do know is that humans are going nowhere, right? Like I was saying to my team, that I'm actually betting quite strongly on humans because a bet on humans is a bet that cannot be lost, right? Like I don't see a world where AI will 100% completely replace humans. And the reason that is important is that humans are the bedrock of the technology. Like, what are we going to do with humans? We the only thing we can really do right now is to make sure that we're upskilling people, and that's essentially where CyLynk.com comes in. Right? Do you see my shameless plug there? You can go right now online. CyLynk.com. It is literally so easy. It is 3 syllables. CyLynk.com. Well, the dot. If you can't dot as a syllable, then I guess it is just that easy. CyLynk.com, and you can actually start learning today. We have a free course called Practical Cyber Linux CLI Essential that you can start learning for free today. Our team have designed the courses to be job ready first. So we're not trying to make you play a game. We're not trying to get you to win a flag, even though we do have the gamification, even though we have the flags and the points. Our main aim as an organization and as a platform is to be job ready first. So if you want to get cyber job ready, go on right now to CyLynk.com, CyLynk.com, and you can obviously sign up to our job ready tracks, or you can buy a course or buy certifications. We have CompTIA certification, Linux Professional Institute certification, and Security Blue Team certifications as well. And we are doing some sale at the moment, so go ahead and buy and study with us so that you can obviously get ahead and stay ahead of the AI overlords. So Abe, the next prompt. Do you have anything to add to that? Before I go to the next prompt.
No.
You're just laughing at my hustle. Nah, it's good. So the next prompt is gramping or camping. I feel like this is one that everyone sort of has an opinion of it. Like it's either you've been scared camping before, or you've had a miserable experience where you've gone gramping and forgotten something that's valuable to you, and you're like, I'll never do that again. So what are you? Or are you the kind of person that's like, I'm definitely Airbnb all the way along. I want to be at the beach, and just surfing, at a 10-story building. What are you into?
I would prefer camping, but my wife prefers glamping.
Ooh, the bone of contention.
You know who the boss is?
Yeah, that's it. I was gonna say, yeah, you're definitely not going camping, my friend.
How about yourself?
Yeah, I do love going camping. Like one of the reasons I actually do love going camping is simply because it's the only time that you actually get to truly and fully switch off from technology. And I just love doing that once a year, like just being able to get away and go as far away as possible where there's no reception, and really enjoy that time away with family and friends, if you have any friends, but mostly with family. I think one of the things I'm definitely looking for a friend who's happy to do is just actually doing a bit of trekking, like just going for a trek and just maybe like a 2 hours or something, and then camping in the bush, do some bush taka, eat something there, make a bit of fire, and then walk back the next day. Maybe spend a few days there. Like I think that's something that I feel like I'm looking for, someone who's bold enough to venture into the unknown. And doing some there's actually a better word for it. I call it trekking, but like I think people call it what's the word for it? I literally hiking. Yeah, hiking is the word for it. I had a brain freeze there, so I would love to go hiking. But I think one of the stories that I probably would like to tell is last year when you know how I said like going camping is one of the things that relaxes me. Well, last year when we went actually beginning of this year, because we typically go in January, but I don't know when we're gonna go this year. But last year when we went, this year January, my daughter decided it was wise to leave the camp in the morning before we all woke up and disappeared.
What?
Yep.
How scary is that?
I almost cactused my pants. Like my heart almost left my body. So for a full, and we were camped literally right next to a river, and that river connects to the sea. So if anyone has been camping in Victoria, this place called Wilson's Promontory, and we were camping in one of the camp yards there that has a river that connects to Tidal River. I think it's called Tidal River that connects to the ocean. And it was literally just a walk. And the previous day we had taken her for a swim, so she knows exactly the pathway to go in there. And here I was going, where do I start? Like, and initially I was like, surely she's just going for a bike ride. Like, she's probably a little bit more like me, a free spirit, likes to take risk and venture out and have fun. And, so I was like, yeah, she's just probably just gone for a bike ride. I find her. Where my heart really sunk was when I was walking looking for her, and then I saw her bike, but she was nowhere to be found. And it was literally right at the edge of the river. I'm like, oh Lord Jesus, help me. It was absolutely scary. And then, literally walked everywhere, called her name, screamed, did everything. Her mom, I was basically going, I don't want to, Lord help me not come back home without her, because her mom is not going to want to hear that. Like, yeah.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
How long till you found her for when she went?
30 minutes. 30 minutes of looking for her. 30 minutes that felt like 30 hours. That was what we looked for her.
I've had that feeling for like 3 minutes at the moment.
Oh.
And it's I know, it's so scary.
Like that experience. Yeah, that experience is definitely one that I do not wish on any parent. If you're a parent out there, I am genuinely advocating for a leash. Yeah, you can tell me that it's not gentle parenting all you want. I don't want to know. Just leash the baby. Because you would rather have a leashed baby for people to look at you weird than a missing baby that is gone, like gone for good. So yeah, that's essentially that story there. It was a really scary story. Actually, I was going to tell you how we found her. We finally found her. We didn't find her. Someone who went for a run along the track by the river found her as far away from the camp as possible and brought her back. I was like, from that moment on, camping was over. I'm like, yep, that's it. We're going home. That's it. So it's safe to say that camp wasn't very campy and very restful. But look, yeah. So you're definitely a camp person. I think you and I can probably go camping together. But like, we can do a cyber camp. I don't know, like. It'll be cool.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, like design a breed board or something, out in the bush, and something that you can do without any electricity. Or we can even buy one of those like power packs that you can take with you, but there's no TV. You're just basically just there and build something with your hands. Maybe a spare or something, or we can maybe make a katana as well or something. I don't know. Like it could be cool. I'm looking inviting you to go hiking with me. Anyway, everyone, look, you can tell that I'm trying to bro romance Abe and trying to get him to go camping with me. If you guys want to go camping with Abe and Sammy, please put that in the comment section. And then to win that ticket I talked about, I want you guys to tell me how many cities in Africa are we going to be visiting in 2026 for the Hck4G tour? How many cities and how many countries? Go do your research. And then if you can put that, the first person to put that in the comment section would win a one-way free ticket to Hck4G conference on November the 15th. And you can also buy your ticket right now. You can actually go to event Humanities. Actually, our event is in Humanities. You can go to Humanities and buy your ticket. If you want to obviously donate, you can also donate as well. We are officially a non-for-profit organization, so you can actually donate to the cause to disrupt cybercrime in underserved communities and untapped regions globally. So the link to buy a ticket is in the comment section. Again, I'm going to repeat the question of the day is, how many cities in Africa and how many countries are we going to be visiting for Hck4G Tour 2026, where we're going to be going to the hotspot of cybercrime. And we're going to be speaking to young people who are not obviously doing it because they want to do crime, but they're doing it because they feel like it's the only way out. So we're going to be speaking with them, and we're going to be running some workshops. And and if you're not doing anything, if you haven't gotten your ticket for November the 15th, go ahead and do that. Hey, I think it's about time I actually dive right into the next segment. So the next segment is actually going to be having a chat with you. So. Like one of the things I find quite incredible about your story, Abe, is the tenacity and the consistency that you've shown over the years, right? And that's something that is very rare in cyber. Like a lot of people they do it for the money, they get in, and then once they've gotten that job, before you know it, they're no longer serious, and and they're no longer actually, continuing to, to study and to show commitment. But you're someone that I can definitely tell that has, stayed committed all through the journey, all through the story. I think it's pretty obvious by anyone just looking at the number of certifications that you have and how often you renew them. But before we dive into the technical stuff, and one of the things I know is that in cyber, everyone has a story, right? There's always a story before cyber. There's always something, that makes you human, that makes you who you are, that is driving you, and I'm sure you're not different. So I know you worked at JB Hi-Fi. I know you were doing some other nefarious things as a young man before you got into cyber. So tell us, how was your upbringing, man, and where did you grow up?
Well, okay. I was born in Peru, in Lima, Peru, in South America, and in the early 90s, my parents decided to migrate to New Zealand. It was probably the best decision they they could have made.
He's a
So I
Kiwi.
grew up
Hoo, hoo,
in
hoo, hoo,
yeah, so I grew up in central Auckland,
hoo.
and yeah, did my thing there. Got my first computer when I was, I think, 10 years old.
So, how was growing up? Obviously, your parents, obviously, I'm sure, just like every other immigrant family, they worked their behind off, day in day out to essentially be able to provide for you guys. And we're gonna dive into that because one of the things that immigrants have often feel is the weight of that. Like you feel like there's so much, expectation on you, and that can obviously have an impact. But before we dive into that, how was growing up though in Auckland?
Yeah, it was really, really, really good. Very multicultural. Uh, and it was very different. Like when I went to New Zealand, I couldn't speak a word of English, so I was in ESOL, went through all that. It was fun.
That's actually very funny because I know exactly what that might have felt like, learning a new language and trying to speak and sound differently. So I'm sure, like by the virtue of you not knowing, like much of English, I'm sure you would have had to obviously contend with the teenagers in New Zealand. How was your experience, obviously within the the space and the zone? Hopefully you didn't experience any of the of the evil stuff called racism or any of the kids having trouble with you, or were you the bully? Were you the bully in your school or something?
No, I don't think I was the bully. I I hung around with the bad kids, but I had like a group of friends with that got me into gaming.
Mm-hmm.
So I when I got to that point in my life, I think that's when I got my computer. My mom's like, "You need to do something with your energy and what your focus should be computers," because I was getting focused on other things.
Yeah, look, that is essentially how it happens every single time, like every single kid. I think probably that number one decision is probably one of the best decisions your parents have ever made for you because that began obviously your journey into cyber and tech in general. So I guess I'm sure you obviously didn't get a computer and started learning how to build things. I'm sure you probably got lost just like most teenagers, spending hours playing video games. So how was the experience of that?
It was really fun. Like I remember getting a computer and it had like an email client, and I didn't realize you had to go on the internet to send an email. I was trying to
Mm.
send an email without connecting the computer. So I basically just taught myself how to do things by talking to other people at school. Like somebody told me, "Oh, there's a thing called dial-up. You should get it." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" So it started like that. It was really cool.
Yeah, nah, I remember those days, like one of the landline phones. That's essentially what you use as a modem. And the funny thing is that whenever someone makes a phone call, the internet drops out. That's
Yeah, yeah.
growing up in that era. I often say that kids of nowadays would never know the joy of not having to be addicted because you generally cannot because literally there's often a break that is unplanned. So no, it's really awesome. So like obviously, I'm guessing you went to university in Auckland as well, or like how did you then grow from that?
So I wasn't. So that's an interesting topic actually. So
Mm,
I wasn't much of a what would you call it? Like educational
mm,
focus. So when I finished high school, I went to sort of like a TAFE. I didn't go to university straight away.
Mm,
So I went to this TAFE and I did they called it Certificate in Business Computing
mm.
back
No,
then. So
that sounds like a
so that
pretty
was
pretty.
more around like fundamentals. It was like Pascal programming and all these weird subjects. So I did that, and then somebody was telling me about how they got an MCSC and they got a really high-paying job. So obviously, I was like, I should get an
Yeah, ching
MCSC
ching.
too.
Yep.
But it was
Why not?
much more difficult than what I thought it would be.
Nah,
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome. So and this is one of the things that a lot of people, and the reason I intentionally asked you that question, right? Because the reason I asked you that is often people think that the pathway into cyber is very straightforward, and like you just go get a degree or get a master's and then voila, you are in cybersecurity. One of the things I find quite interesting is that, and we're going to talk about this shortly, is that a lot of the guys who are like the top dudes in cyber, and ladies, and you know like some incredible women like that I know of, like this lady from from Dragos. I've forgotten her name. She's absolute a gun. Like I don't remember her name now. See if I can find it. Well, irrelevant right now. But like, there's some really incredible people who do incredible work, and I definitely can heart and hand say that you are one of those people. So great job for the work that you do. But obviously that pathway for you wasn't direct. You didn't just go to uni, studied cyber, and then got a job. So how was your first job in cyber? Like, how did that all journey start?
Well, that's the thing. Being in IT for so long, um, eventually every job entailed sort of network security and deploying, configuration, hardening configuration settings and things like that. But
Mm.
my first real cyber job was at Judo Bank.
Ooh.
Um, so I was working at JB Hi-Fi as a senior system engineer, dealing with sort of infrastructure, cloud, and deploying solutions and things like that. But then one of the guys there at JB Hi-Fi said, "Oh, you should study Certificate 4 in cybersecurity because it's free." And I was like, "Well, free's good. Let's do it." So I did that. That was before COVID.
Yeah, like it was
Um,
such a great time to have done that, actually.
yeah, it was good timing actually. It's like
Yeah.
the stars aligned.
Yep.
Um, so I was doing that, and then I just found that like I already knew everything from being in IT for so long, right? There
Mm.
were only like a few gaps in my knowledge were
You just
mostly
yeah.
around frameworks and sort of concepts of
Mm.
cybersecurity, but learning networking and all those fundamentals, I was already familiar with everything. So the lecturer actually said to me, "You should start applying for jobs now because they need people and you can do the stuff, easily." So yeah, I applied for an analyst role and I got it pretty
Wow.
quickly. Yeah.
And that obviously began your journey. Like I know for a lot of people, like one of the things they miss out in your story. So someone might hear that story right now and think, oh, you just did a certificate for in cyber and got a job in cyber. One of the story that they haven't heard is the years he spent in IT support, in system administration, and system engineering. That essentially fueled your ability to move into cyber that quickly. So you want to maybe you want to clear that doubt in
Yeah,
the air,
yeah.
because that's something I hear a
So
lot is people think that you can literally just go do a certificate for or do a degree and then voila, you're ready for cybersecurity.
it was only the fact that I had already been in IT for over a decade as a senior engineer, right? Like I started in the trenches. I literally worked at a help desk for ISPs. That was my
Mm,
first role, not knowing much about anything to do with business enterprise IT. And slowly and slowly over a decade, I just progressed very, very slowly. And I keep telling people, like, you don't have to do it the way that I did and spend a
mm,
decade with incremental improvements. You need you need a team or a mentor to sort of speed up the process, like I went from being a level 3 senior engineer to a junior level 1 SOC analyst or cyber analyst, right?
yeah, humility right
So
there.
yeah. Yeah, so you have to sort of. A lot of people wouldn't like the title change, you know.
And that's one of the things. Those are the kind of people that I know will never go far in cyber. Like it's one just that ability to be humble, to know that you know what, that there's no such thing as I've arrived, I've finished learning, I know it all now. And what I see all the time is often those people who have that, that humility first mindset are those who go far. And look, mate, congratulations for a great career and for for the work that you continue to do. And one of the things that people are not aware of is that you're a great mentor as well. You've mentored and helped a lot of people get into cyber, and you're currently actually doing that right now with Hack for Good as well. And you are one of the trainers on the Hack for Good conference day. So if you guys want to come see Abe in action with almost 2 decades of experience across IT and cybersecurity demonstrated live, then you do not want to miss the opportunity to go get a ticket right now on Eventbrite. Humanitics. Get a ticket for Hack for Good conference. I have no idea why Eventbrite is living rent free on my brain. But go get a ticket right now. We actually have our early bird tickets selling out. Those tickets will be sold out by early next week. So if you want to get that early bird discount, you want to go buy that ticket right away. But Abe, one of the things I think doesn't get quite talked about enough in cyber is the mental toll. Not only on yourself, your family, your loved one, the people that are around you. I often tell people when they come for a strategy session with us at CyLynk.com, I tell them that if you were thinking that you've found a career, think again, because this is a calling. You're going to do this when you're sleeping, when you're awake, when you're eating, when you're walking, whatever it is you're doing, your brain is going to be active, right? And that obviously not everyone can deal with that, and it comes with a lot of weight and a lot of stress and whatnot. And I believe that there's actually a quiet quitting happening in cybersecurity, and there's a lot of cybersecurity guys that are burnt out, right? Because there is that massive skill shortage. Like when I say skill, I mean actual technical hands-on skill, not head count. And this is what a lot of people miss out is they think that cybersecurity is looking for more people. It doesn't want more people. Cybersecurity wants more skilled and advanced technical people, right? So before I go too deep into that, like I'm kind of keen to know how obviously how you stay sane, really, because I know that for me, even for me, being a founder and a CEO, like it's hard enough, but also wanting to keep up technical stuff and keep learning and keep growing. I know it's not easy, and I know a lot of the ways that I stay sane. Like one of them is going for a walk. But like before we even talk about remedies, and by the way, for anyone who might be feeling weird through this conversation, I want to let you know that there is help out there. You can call 0000 if you're in Australia, or call 911. I want to let you know that there is help out there. You don't have to suffer alone. You don't have to carry the weight and the burden of life alone. Find a community, join a Discord server, have a laugh. Throw in a few dad jokes, mom jokes. Reach out. Our team will support you, but most importantly, reach out to authorities. Go see a doctor, whatever it is. But hey, what sort of struggles have you had to deal with as you feel comfortable?
I've list all of them. So it's yeah. So it's as you progress in your career, it's not the technical things that stress you out or like not knowing things because you can just pick up. There's so many
Mm,
ways you can get knowledge these days. It's more about interactions with people. Um, that's the hardest thing I find in business. Like all this technical stuff that I can pick up and learn and read about, that's fine. But seeing other people as people and not just people that want
mm,
to argue with you at work
mm.
is one big thing that I had to learn, like putting myself in their shoes. It's taken me 20 years to learn that.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be something that you will continue learning, and this is something I've learned. Like I've gotten a bit more practiced, in that region. I think you and I talk about this all the time, and I'm giving you some tips of what I've experienced and what I've learned, and you've been really good at picking those up. So now that's good. So I guess is there any specific story that you would like to share with us of how you obviously struggled with mental health? Maybe not undiagnosed, maybe something that has to do with cybersecurity stress that is coming out of cyber as a result of being in cyber.
A lot of the stress. So my role at Hollard Insurance is quite broad.
Mm,
Um, So it's primarily threat and vulnerability management and threat intelligence and threat hunting. So all the threats, I'm always worried about. I'm worried about the threats constantly. You know.
You're gonna love the next segment, mate.
Yeah,
Just
I
one
know.
more reason not to sleep at night, right? Why not?
So it's actually just filtering out all the noise because if you keep up with all the threat intelligence, you'll never be able to go to sleep, right? It's
Mm,
like doing a mental risk assessment. Is this
wow.
should I even read this?
Mm,
You know, like there's so much noise, so getting through the noise. But one of the things that I struggled with was like too much information
mm,
overload,
yeah.
alert fatigue, and all that. So yeah, we talked about remedies. So I every day I go for a walk,
Yep.
regardless of rain or shine.
Nah, that's good. That's something that I absolutely love doing as well. Like, you know what? Like, this is probably something that is more specific to me. Like, some of the times that I do my best thinking is actually while I'm at work, while I'm on a walk. I find that is when my brain is able to function in autopilot, right? Because because I've already my body, my brain have this autopilot alignment of how to do a walk. So it's not thinking about that. And that's the one time. And I've actually learned, and this is a very scary part of it, is that to not take music or anything with me. Just go on a scary, soft self-discovery walk where you actually have to search your soul. And that is when I find your brain is able to, and this happens for happen quite differently for a lot of people. A lot of people, it's when they're reading or when they're listening to music. Some people are able to do that, but for me, it's when I shut all the technology off, when I shut everything out. And this is one of the reasons why actually I'm not a huge fan of the city, is because a lot of that sensory overload and information overload. I love me the good suburbs where there's some good oxygen and some trees, and where we live there's some really good walkway that is actually quite bushy, and it means that you can breathe in some healthy, strong, oxygen that actually helps your brain refresh. And it always amazes me how much of a difference a 10-minute walk makes. Like, you could be having the most intense day, and I don't know if that is the same thing with you, Abe, where you just go for that walk, and then all of a sudden you have a different perspective. Would you say that that's the same thing that you experience?
The time when I'm being reactive, I'd like write a email response, but I don't send it.
Mm,
And then I go for a walk, and then I read it, and I'm like, what was I thinking? You know,
yeah.
completely different person after a walk.
Guys, did you get that tape? Do not send the email. Go for a walk first before you press that send button, so you don't have to deal with the aftermath of the shenanigan that you created.
Rocking the boat.
Yeah, did not rock the boat. Do not say that. Just go for a walk first, just like and you heard that first at Nerd Night. Like, these are some really good tips out there, right? Like, I think you did one of the ones you dropped is hashtag, do some mental, risk assessment. You did say that. So also live at Nerd Night, episode 60 as well. But I think those are some really good things, and I think a lot of guys who are, on a more serious note, who are in cybersecurity don't really understand how to deal with the mental health and the mental toll that cyber brings, you know, and often businesses are not hiring enough to have enough people to deal with the amount of alerts that's coming in. Like, like, obviously, having led a global SOC, I was able to find out that the good ratio of alerts per analyst per day is not more than anything above 25. That analyst is basically scanning. They're no longer doing deep investigation, right? Because the whole idea of having a human review an alert is for them to go deeper than what a computer would do. And if they don't have enough time to investigate and dig deeper and look beyond beyond the typical true positive, false positive, benign positive, stuff. If they're not able to find the time to look beyond that, then you might as well not have a human looking at it at all, because they're basically just classifying every single thing as a false positive so they can close off a ticket. So once you begin to get more than 25 ticket ratio per analyst, you're probably in a very dangerous zone where you're potentially going to get burnout. Or if you don't get burnout, you're essentially going to suffer what is known as false negative, where you're not detecting anything simply because no one is seeing it, right. And things are being classified as false positive without it actually being a false positive. So, Abe, hopefully that's something you obviously agree with, but keen to hear your thought on that.
I've always worked for like internal cyber teams and internal infrastructure teams. So when you're talking about global managed SOC, I think you know more about the metrics required, but I think 25 is a healthy number. I remember doing a lot more when I was an analyst. I wish I could have had you as a boss back then.
Nah, it's all good. It's always hard because trying to find budget for that so you can keep that number within that ratio is hard. But for anyone who's out there, we are actually able to support and we're able to help as well. So if you are looking for top talent, CyLynk, we've actually picked some people that we've trained ourselves and they're ready and able to be deployed to solve some key problems. So Abe, look, without obviously going too deep into this, one of the few questions last questions I want to ask you is, how do you then keep up to date? Because one of the things I know about cyber is that cyber changes so quickly. Like I said to someone recently that if you took a trip for a year and came back, cybersecurity will be different from what it was when you left, and you might actually be out of the loop, to the point that you wouldn't be able to get a job in cyber anymore, right? So how do you keep up to date? Especially with certification renewals, making sure that you're getting the right certifications and the right things to stay relevant. How do you do that? Especially when you also, you said yourself that you want to make sure that you're not reading and looking at every single thing, every single fly that goes off your your roof doesn't have to be something that you look at, right? So how do you strategically, know what certification to renew, know what certification to study, and how to keep up to date and ensure that your skills obviously match the latest threat in the threat landscape.
That's a lot there, Sammy. So I'll break it down. Um, I think with the
Well, I think it's
certifications,
simply
I
it's
don't know.
simply how do you remain awesome. That's a summed up version of it.
With the certification, what I picked to study was mainly around what were recruiters looking for, because to me, certifications really get you through the interview, like the
Yep.
the HR process, you
Yep.
know. So I picked like, well, back, I don't know, 5 years ago, I saw CompTIA was very popular. So
Mm.
then I made a roadmap, like if I get CompTIA Security Plus and I want to do pen testing, what does CompTIA offer? Because I was trying to get like a bundle on
Mm.
on
Mm.
on vouchers, but I probably didn't do it correctly. But I just got what was popular
Yep.
on that I already knew, right? So I already knew
Mm.
how to use Kali Linux,
Mm.
but I just did pen test plus because I wanted to show recruiters that I know what I'm talking about.
Mm.
Because a lot of the time, if you say, "Oh, I've got experience pen testing," and you don't have that PDF file, there's a lot of people claiming they are pen testers, but all they do is, use a platform.
Yep.
I won't mention.
Run.
I won't mention
Yeah.
the names.
Yeah. Just run advanced scan, right? Nah, that's
Yeah, so
awesome.
it's validating your skills, pretty
Mm.
much.
Well, I think like one of the things that I think a lot of people bag, a few certification vendors, and they forget that there are some certifications. I think the way you look at certifications is a really clever way to look at it. Is that they're not only a good way for you to learn something, it's also a great way for you to get your foot in the door with HR, right? But what we often recommend here at CyLynk is that don't just study for the paper, actually know the substance. Because yes, the certification will get you through the door, but what happens, because immediately you get that job offer, no one cares about the certifications anymore. Now you actually have to deliver. And that's something, Abe, that you've obviously demonstrated. I've seen your work. You've been diligent and not just studying the certification to tick a box. You've actually genuinely learned the stuff so that you can genuinely be valuable to organizations. And I'm sure, Holland is probably, they are great, they're grateful to have you. So how do you then go beyond certification to essentially ensure that you have the technical powers to be able, to maintain the skills that you have over the years? I know one of the things you said is that obviously as you grow in your career, it's a lot easier to pick up skill. But how else would you recommend, people stay technically relevant and go beyond just getting a piece of paper?
Even when I first started studying, the thing that allowed me to get through a lot of training material was building my own lab.
Mm.
So my lab's progressed over the last sort of 6 years. It's evolved from like I just bought like a workstation and put like VMware on it, and then
Yeah.
I've used Proxmox. So it keeps evolving. So now I've got like a full Got like a gaming PC with 3090 Ti graphics card running
Nice.
AI, local models, and all that kind of stuff. So
Nice.
if I find something that, and then I just deploy it on Docker, play with it, break it, rebuild it, reconfigure it. That you have to tinker with things, right? You can't just read the theory, memorize the answers, and all that kind of stuff. Like you're gonna get caught out very quickly when you
Yep.
go into a meeting and they say, "Abe, you said you knew this. It's you have to
What's
fix it
up?
now."
It's time. It's time to bring the knowledge in, right?
Yeah.
The time for talk is over. Now it's time for you to show us what you do know. Nah, that's really cool. Hey, my last, I guess I will actually let you ask me some question if you do want to, because this is not a one way street. NerdKnight is an open conversation, forum. But my last question to you is, like, what would you tell a young, Abe, who is maybe perhaps in, I'm trying to figure out a name in Botswana, right? Who doesn't have as much opportunity and skill, that hasn't immigrated with their parent. Well, what would you say to encourage them, even as they figure out what the future looks like and how to navigate, the global economy with AI and all of that? What wisdom, like it can be more than one word of wisdom, take your time to think about it. What would you say to that person?
Wow. I would say don't stop being curious. Like
Mm.
that's that's part of my story, right? I don't think we went into it, but like when my parents got me my computer, within the first week, I had already taken it apart.
I'm sure your
Um,
dad and mama weren't very happy about that. Wink, wink.
yeah, I was able to put it all back together, but that's kind of the thing that I'm trying to say is like find something, find a free computer, find a broken computer,
Leverage what you
try and
have.
find,
Yeah.
yeah, just use your resources that you have and try and build something, like it's not hard to like you get a donated laptop, put Linux on it, start learning how to navigate Linux,
Mm.
learn Linux because Linux powers all of the cloud. So yeah, I reckon just learn Linux while you can, and there's so many free resources out there. Um, yeah, I think Linux is a really strong starting point for anyone, and like a third world country, like in South America, we've got Kedu Ubuntu, Ubuntu, all these different Ubuntu
Mm.
variations that come with the educational software.
Mm. Yep.
Start learning programming, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like a lot of resources is obviously out there on YouTube at the moment. What I often like the only issue with like I remember when we first started the startup, with the link group and started with CyLynk, and someone asked me this question. So and the question was, Sammy, are you trying to start something that doesn't exist yet? And I remember the answer I gave was that somewhat in the sense that I'm not necessarily trying to start a cybersecurity training platform or startup that doesn't exist. There's already, competitors out there who are doing an incredible work. Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, Security Blue Team, Sans, TCM Security.
And
Yeah, these guys are all doing great, incredible work. Now you can have obviously a personal opinion about them, but one thing I found that was missing is that a lot of the training was very focused on either gamification or some being part of the boys club, if you put it that way, right? And not necessarily about job ready skills. And often young people in that are looking for a job, especially in this very hard economy, or people in third world, or emerging market, or on again the way we describe it here at the link group and Hack for Good is underserved communities and untapped regions. They don't have time to go through a 3 hours YouTube video that's not going to deliver them with real job ready skills, because they have to pay for data. The things that you and I don't have to think about is they have to pay for internet and power. So we set out to build a platform that really solves the problem of job readiness. So what that actually looks like in practice is that it's not just teaching you the technical stuff, which we are great at. Very hands-on, deployable lab, web-based labs. We've also just deployed our AI tutor that you can essentially work with to learn. But another thing we do is we go beyond the technical stuff to teach you how to actually get a job. Things like mock interviews, how to build a portfolio, how to have an interview, how to build a personal brand. These are things that other platforms often don't talk about because to them it's just a game. You want to get social credits for being a hacker or for being a defender or whatnot. And that's something that we do. And that's something that I'll probably add to what you said to someone who is maybe perhaps in Peru, a young person who is starting out in their career, is to, like Abe said, remain curious, but also, if you can, go to Hack4Good, hck4g.org, and then reach out to our team. We are eventually going to have a membership, product that is coming up soon where you can actually get access to free training as well. That's something we're obviously having. And then our mentors like Abe is going to be available to provide some mentorship as well, obviously as time permits. So I think, look, Abe, that's a really good place for us to wrap that up. Do you have any questions for me, mate?
I don't think we'll have enough time.
No, keep going, man. Like that was, like you go. Like we've got time.
I was wondering, like, how you got into technology.
Well, it's a bit of an. Well, now I see why you said it without. Well, it's a bit of an interesting story because like growing up in Africa, like I say this to people all the time, like I had the best childhood that you can ever think of, right? Up until my teenage years, and this is something that every single African who grew up in the village would often tell you that I would not have changed my upbringing, like those early days where you go hunting in the bush, go snail hunting, like sometimes you find snake and you run you run to the hills. And when it rains, you actually go outside and play in the rain with sometimes with no pants on. Go figure. So I had a blast, and we were able to not worry about what we could not or could afford. Like I remember those days we would want to play soccer and we could not afford a ball. We would literally just take old rags and clothes and whatnot and napkins and tie it all together and make a ball of rags and use that to play soccer, right? Or football, depending on who's asking. I can't believe I'm in Australia and we just call things soccer. Seriously, Aussies. Or you would, if you wanted to ride a bike, rather than actually your parents cannot afford a bike, so you literally go look for an old, used motorbike tire or something, and then use a stick to sort of ride it, and you run alongside the tire, right? That if for someone who's in Australia, who's probably like a child who's growing up here, would be like, oh, you mean you guys could not afford a bike? Oh, you mean you guys could not afford a ball? But those were one of the most fun memories. Just being able to build my own little Boris. Like, I'm gonna show you guys a picture of this one day where you literally just get one of the the free wheel Boris. I think it's bearing. You get the bearing from an old used motorbike, whatever thing, and then you put two sticks at the end of it, and then you use it to make like a skateboard, and you drive it around, like literally homemade by the kids. Right, you don't have to go buy a skateboard. You make that yourself. So I loved growing up with that, and that was essentially where my initial I guess drive for technology kind of began, building stuff and taking any radio that I could find and tearing it apart and using the little rotor thing inside of it to make a boat engine and then put a battery in there and then essentially have it running in water when it's raining. And that was when my curiosity for tech sort of growing. And then obviously when I became a teenager, that was when I began to see the lacks that existed in Africa. And before I knew it, I started growing and basically wanting to I just do a bit of technology. And I remember going to one of the lecturers at school and saying, hey, really into technology. This was when they started teaching us about binaries and all of this stuff. And then I ended up becoming a teaching assistant, basically helping mark other students classwork for computers. And I just found that quite exciting. And before I knew it, I went to a computer, like did a diploma in computer engineering and whatnot, and then finished doing that. I went to the Strait to learn how to actually fix computers and phones on the Strait. And then it was from the Strait that I eventually found myself on the dark web. And before I knew it, I was downloading pirated PDF books, and I had literally this is being recorded. This is on notice. I had the crack for every single software on earth from the dark web, and I may or may not have sold different softwares to people, right? Read it with malware and whatnot. But that was where my story began, and that was essentially when the cyber criminals in Africa noticed me, and then they basically invited me to come become a cyber criminal. Long story short, which I'm going to tell a little bit, better next time. Obviously, guys, I'm doing a keynote speech at the Hack4Good conference. So, come along so you can hear my full story and how I became a cyber criminal and became one of the Nigerian prince that you've heard of. And then from there, basically, cyber crime, things like sextortion, business email compromise, email, bombing, which is how I know how to send a lot of emails to So, and that was where my curiosity began. And one of the things, which is what we're solving with Hack for Good, is that I lacked awareness of the impact of the crime that I was involved in. And I also lacked awareness of the alternative pathways that existed, right? I did not really know what I could do with the skill that I had. Like I knew that I could talk to people, I could carry on a conversation and whatnot. I never really know that that can actually be something that you could study more and go get a job. And this is essentially what we're doing with Hack for Good, is providing awareness of the impact of crime, cybercrime specifically as well, in these underserved regions and untapped, underserved communities and untapped regions, and also providing awareness of the consequences as well, right? Because like you often hear the good stories of people who win, or stole money or whatnot, and they bought a nice car, but you don't hear about those who got put in jail for life. So we're also bringing awareness of the impact of of the consequence of cybercrime, but also most importantly, we're bringing awareness and education of the alternative pathways that exist. And this is essentially powered by CyLynk and the Link Group. And this is essentially what we're trying to do, is to essentially disrupt cybercrime in underserved communities and untapped regions. Hey, that was one question you asked me, and I went on a rant. So hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
How many tickets are you giving away?
2 tickets. We have 2 tickets to give away. The question still remains, how many cities and countries are we visiting in May 2026 for the Hack for Good tour? A month-long cybercrime awareness campaign. We're visiting multiple countries, and we're visiting multiple cities. You thought I was going to tell you guys the answer. Go find out how many cities and how many countries we're going to be visiting for Hack for Good tour in 2026. And of course, anyone who's out there who wants to be part of this and who wants to, support this movement that is powered by CyLynk and Link Group, you can obviously go and donate, through the Humanities page as well. Guys, this is more than just another cybersecurity event or, another cybersecurity conference. This is actually something that's beyond just, having an after party. Every single person who signs up for Hack for Good conference or play the CTF is not only getting more technically sound and more technically advanced, they are also helping, fuel the fire and the movement to disrupt cybercrime in underserved communities and untapped regions, places like, including Australia, places like Papua New Guinea and Fiji. So that's what we're doing. So the first 2 people that answer that question in the comment section or DMs me on, I guess, LinkedIn or any other social media platform that you can find, Hack for Good or CyLynk at, the first person to do that will win they will get access to, the first 2 people to do that will get access to a free ticket to Hack for Good conference, which is essentially a whole day long hands-on people teaming focused cybersecurity training. Hands-on, guys. This is not just some, high-speed conference, right? You know what I mean? This is a hands-on technical training. One of them will be run by Abe here, and you guys can obviously expect for it to be amazing. So yeah, go on right now. You can see the link in the comment section on YouTube, or you can go to to CyLynk or Hack for Good LinkedIn page or my personal LinkedIn page, so you can follow us. And do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have some amazing things coming up as well over the next few years. But yeah, Abe, do you have any other questions, or are you happy for us to, What?
All good.
Awesome.
All good, yeah.
No, that's good. Thanks, mate, for that. All right, look, guys, it is about time for us to go to the next segment, which is obviously going to be the last segment for today, and that would be threat landscape. Right? Where is my my clapping, whatnot crowd? All right. I really genuinely want to thank you for for coming on board and for doing this and for being part of the movement to disrupt and to empower young, disrupt crime and to empower young people, mate. You are an absolute legend. And I'm sure the community, absolutely appreciates the work that you do. So guys, do not forget to follow Abraham. So Abe, where can people reach out to you?
You can add me on LinkedIn and you can join the Discord. I go by Acido. It's my old gamer tag that's followed me to Discord.
That's it. It's a great name. It stands out like a sore thumb. No, that's good. That's good. All right. What do we have today? what do we have today? So for threat landscape, because it's just me, I'm not going to focus too much on reading the actual text. I'm just going to run you guys through what's happening in the interweb, right? Like I told you guys, we go to the underbelly of the dark side of the internet, right? I'm stealing that one from Jack Resider. By the way, if you don't know who Jack Resider, shout out to Jack Resider. He's not paying me for this, but the guy does an incredible work for the cybersecurity industry and making cybersecurity sound fun, right? So great storyteller. If you haven't looked at his work, go look at darknightdiaries.net, I believe. Yeah. And so you can see his story. So for this first news or story or threat landscape of the day is FBI takes down breach forums portal used for Salesforce extortion. So this one is quite interesting. Abe, so basically what happened is, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Now, up until now, we often talk about cyber criminals essentially, building a coalition where they can actually work together. And this is often found in the criminal underworld where, someone who is like a credential broker or a credential harvester basically sells the credentials to a ransomware broker. And then a ransomware broker essentially, collects the data, encrypts it, and then sells the data to someone who's able to, get money out of the organization, right? So there's multiple different layers of different organizations that specialize in different things within the dark web or within the cybercrime, underworld. But what we have not seen up until now, as far as I'm aware, is where they actually actively are working on the same targets. So they're not just selling each other's data or selling each other resources. They're actively collaborating, and this obviously shows you the level of sophistication that is involved here. So this group called Shiny Hunters, Scattered Spider, and Lapsus, they've all joined together to essentially, to extort companies that have been impacted by the Salesforce data breach that happened. I believe that was at the beginning of last month, right? I don't know if you remember, Abe.
I was just reading the note um on that article. Scroll down a
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
That's pretty.
yeah. Like this is the note here. So it's pretty scary stuff. So because of this collaboration, they are basically extorting people with money. Anyone who's obviously been attacked by who was impacted by the Salesforce attack. They've essentially, these groups have joined hand, they've banded together. And recently, what has actually happened within the last 24 to 48 hours, the FBI has actually seized one of the main servers of one of the groups, the ones called Shiny Hunters, and they essentially basically redirected the traffic to these two domains, NS1 and NS2 FBI.seized. And this is essentially what shows you that the site has been seized. So basically, for those who are not aware what is essentially happening here, this is basically a domain redirect, right? So they're redirecting the domains that was meant to go to this, go to the breachforum.fh. I believe that's the what is the original malicious domain that people were basically going to go read information about them being breached. If I can find it, that would be nice.
Second time they've taken the forum down, right? So last year it got taken down, and then this is the second iteration of the forums.
Yeah, so they essentially, yeah, that's absolutely correct. So they basically rebuilt the whole thing, and now they've also obviously taken it down. Now it's interesting to note that this is something that is obviously impacting one of the groups within the the cohort that were formed. So I believe Scattered Spider are still able to release some of those information that have been stolen from people's data following the Salesforce data breach, and also Lapsus have also are still at large. So right, HN, that's the domain I'm looking for. So this domain should have been defanged, but I'm guessing it's now leading to hey, bleeding computer, if anyone is watching, defang your domain, mate. But all right, so listen.
On top of that, sorry, on top of that note, it says they were using the admin's account as a front. It's on top of the note. His
On top
name
of it,
was Pomporian.
yeah, Pomporium as front. Yeah. According to the threat actor's message, after raid forums takedown, the same core team planned multiple forums reboot using admins like Pomporiums as fronts. Interesting.
He got busted like 2 years ago, and he must have been like, they must have used his account to infiltrate the group, right?
Or they're probably just giving the middle finger to the FBI, right? Saying you can lock down the guy, but his name will not die. Hey Fame, welcome to the party. Great to have you here, mate. All right. So, hey, what do you've obviously been contributing to this one. I find this quite interesting. I think the thing that interests me about this, obviously, first of all, organizations are becoming notoriously, what's the word? Blizzard or Blizzard. I have no idea how to say this. They're notoriously being, blasé about cybercrime. They don't really react that much to it. Like it's something that happens and it dies in the news. Like Qantas got hacked. And what I often keep saying, and this is something that no one has ever rebutted me on, is that cyber criminals are doing this. And often when organizations get hit, especially here in Australia, those who bear the brunt and the price of it are the everyday citizens in Australia whose data gets stolen. And then they use it for things like, I know this because I've done this, like, I've been part of this stuff. So I know this stuff, right? So they use it for things like, stolen identity. Someone can literally just go and, create a new bank account. And this is something that is very close to home for me. Someone can create a new bank account with your name and then use that to get access to your net bank or whatever it is that you do. And then use that to buy a bike in Romania and steal your money. Right. And you're wondering, where did they find my information? So, with all of this stuff, I'm not saying that, that is what is happening with all of this stuff. Please don't quote me wrong. But everyday Australian, citizens and everyday Canadian citizens and everyday US citizens and, and the UK citizens and EU citizens, their data is being sold in the dark web. And often when the cyber criminals are not able to get money from the organizations, or even if they do get money from the organizations, that data gets sold to smaller, criminal organizations who then, bombard the victims with phishing emails, bombard them with, weird scams or romance scam and sextortion, and then get money out of them. And this is essentially why we're losing literally billions per year to cybercrime. So I'm saying this. I actually want to have a podcast specifically to this because I feel like cybercrime has become something that organizations are becoming immune to because no one actually takes them, holds them account to the fact they don't have proper cybersecurity practice. At least here in Australia, we don't have anything like the GDPR that exists in the EU. So obviously, if anyone is listening to this, I know the Privacy Act is supposed to be in force, but it doesn't quite, based on what I understand, it doesn't quite have any teeth to be able to enforce any of this stuff, right? And this is why there's a lot of people who are skilled who are looking for a job in Australia, but organizations are refusing to hire, and those who are obviously working are burning out because they're being asked to do something that 10 or 20 people should be doing. Anyways, you can tell that this is something that is very close to my heart. Hey, your reaction to that?
Yeah, I think this one's a big one because of Salesforce, right? I'm wondering what other companies' data was listed by the threat actor. Like, how many
Thank you, Lord
records
Jesus.
was it?
I don't remember that. Yeah, there was so much data that was dumped from that. There was so much data.
Yeah. Adidas, Disney, Hulu. It's crazy. But actually, the root cause of that wasn't it a AI functionality within Salesforce?
Yeah, so it was some AI automation too that essentially enables organizations to be able to create workflows, essentially like something similar to N8N that allows people to be able to connect to other systems so that the CRM can actually perform activities on its own without you doing being there. Like you can connect it to your AWS environment for it to sort of manage things like cost and whatnot. So that's essentially what that tool does, and voila, somehow. And if you think
You also had to have a chatbot on your site, right? Connected to your
yeah, yeah,
Salesforce instance.
yeah. So
Wow.
that's
Everybody
essentially
has both.
yeah, that's essentially what happened in that situation. All right, look, that was a really good one. So the last article here, which I actually find quite interesting, we're not going to spend as much time on it, is that both Google and Apple are both rebranding or releasing new bug bounty prizes, And the reason this story caught my eye, obviously, with Apple offering almost $2 million for zero click remote code execution vulnerabilities. So essentially, a vulnerability, and for those who are not aware, this is a vulnerability that does not require a user to click anything. You basically just send them something, and then that essentially automatically compromises the device that you send them to send that thing to. So this can either obviously be via email or via text message or via an application, which could be WhatsApp. And I say WhatsApp because that was exactly what happened with some countries' intelligence unit that use this, Mossad, right? I'm gonna say it, Mossad. They use that vulnerability to actually attack some not very friendly people that they wanted to get a hold of. So Apple is actually caught up on this, and they're essentially releasing a $2 million bounty on anyone who's able to figure out how to get a remote code execution by zero click on any of their devices or the iOS device. So this one is a big one, because you could literally just get a big payday, right? If you're able to hit this is a jackpot. And one of the crazy things is I actually find that in general, AI, I'm sure you can probably correct me if I'm wrong here. AI is actually introducing more vulnerability for a lot of the codes that have been written, especially with when people who haven't really understood the essence of software engineering are writing code. What often happens is they're leaving the vulnerabilities left, right, and center. And this is essentially what I think is going to be the foothold for more vulnerabilities to start occurring over the next few years. But Google is also releasing a $30,000 bounty on anyone who's able to hack the AI products. So I felt like that's a very cheap bounty to start with, anyways. But it's a good step in the right direction, and it essentially doing what it is, getting people to hack for good. So this is one of the things we're actually going to build with Hack for Good, is essentially train people to be able to do bug bounty programs from places like Nigeria, Ghana, Papua New Guinea, so that even if they don't get a job, they can actually have a means of earning income. But Abe, what is your reaction to this story?
I think it's about time they matched the bounties for these things, because I think on the dark web, does the article say there's Serodium? There's a commercial marketplace where they also offer
Yep.
bounties for IT. So as a grey hat, who's gonna give you the
Who's
most
gonna
money,
give you the
the
more
grey
money?
hat or Apple?
I can tell you that the cyber criminals do not have as much bureaucracy, so they're probably gonna give you more money on average, right?
Yeah, and even like a station, like a state nation threat actor, they probably have these tools already. They're not gonna give them up to Apple if they really wanted to use them. I think Apple's just getting to the point where they need to find these things before they start getting used on on the public.
Yeah. Well, I think the good thing, and this is essentially what we're pushing, is that not everything is about money. Like just the pride of knowing that you found a vulnerability that is able to keep millions of people, like billions of people's devices safe from the prying eye of cyber criminals. That is obviously something you should be very proud of. So I'm sure that's something that everyone can agree with. So even if you're not getting the same amount of money from say Google or Apple's, which they should be paying more, by the way, you don't have to go sell that to the dark web or to cyber criminals. You can obviously actually work hard and continue to deliver that and show your work, and before over time people will know who you are. Abe, man, I think we're getting to the end of this. I don't think we have enough time for us to do some technical hands-on training today. We're probably going to do something next week where we basically just, it'll be learn with me type session where I'll be learning something new and everyone can watch along. Abe, I really want to thank you for for being joining the session today. I'm going to go to the market for a second. So just hanging with me while we do that. All right. Oh my goodness, that 1 hour felt like, actually it was almost an hour and a half. Abe, would you agree with me that felt like 5 minutes? We talked everything from like getting into cyber certifications, how to stay fresh in cybersecurity. We did trash talk on camping or gramping or hiking, and I was able to share my story of how I almost lost my daughter going camping. And also we obviously got to hear the amazing Abe story, which is something incredibly humbling to know your humble beginning and the work that you've put into your career. And it's safe to say that you have not been handed this in a platter of gold. You've worked your butt off, and you continue to do so to earn every single thing that you have. And thank you for not being arrogant about that, and for continuing to give back to the community. I want to thank everyone who's obviously been here, who's obviously been listening. So yeah. Yes, Fame, I can definitely agree with you. One of those bounties will be life-changing, including me. Imagine what I could build with that. And yes, Abe is absolutely Peruvian. I actually did not know that you said Peruvian for someone who's from Peru. I thought you said something like Peruvian. I don't know. Well, now I learned something new.
Fame's Peruvian too?
Fame, are you also Peruvian? Yes, Fahan. Yes, we absolutely had a fun. For those who have just jumped in now, there is an Easter egg on how you can get a free ticket to Hack for Good conference in the session. So you just need to watch the whole thing all over again, and so you can get access to a free ticket. So the comment section has turned into a Peruvian comment section. Stop it, guys. Go back to English. Well, whilst you guys do that, I'm going to go to the market for a second. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. This has been an incredible experience. Getting to chat with Abe and getting to hear his story a bit more. It's absolutely been humbling and incredibly amazing to hear with the work that he's done in the industry. So with that, we are going to go right into market. So if you are out there and you're wanting to get into cybersecurity, and you've studied a master's degree or a bachelor's degree or a certificate for a diploma of IT, or you're working in IT and you're wanting to transition into cyber, and you're wondering, how do I get job ready? How do I get the technical hands-on experience that is required to get me job ready? Well, look no further. You can go to CyLynk.com right now and you can start learning with us. And our platform is actually about to be transitioning to a monthly subscription. For $15 a month, you can get access to hands-on lab across defensive, offensive, purple teaming, cloud, AI, and GRC. All of these different areas are things that you can learn with us on. But most especially, we have access to certifications as well. You can get access to Blue Team's level 1 certification from us, Blue Team's level 2, the junior certification that has come out for detection engineers quite recently. That is also available. You can buy that from our platform. You can also buy computer certification, Security Plus, Network Plus, Cyber Plus, CAS Plus, which is now named Security X. You can buy Linux Plus, and you can also buy the Linux Professional Institute certification, like LPI 1, LPI 2, LPI 3. You can obviously buy any of those certifications. And if you need more one-on-one, hands-on expert coaching and training that guarantees a job at the end of it, you do not want to look any further. We are the only ones who provide this. You can actually get into our cyber dojo and our CyLynk Academy by obviously booking a strategy session, and one of our experts will jump in with you and have a chat with you. And for those who have not already gotten their ticket for Hack for Good 2025, please go right now to event.humanitics.com/HCK4G CTF-con 2025-hack-off-no-nation. So that is Hack for Good CTF Con 2025, Hack of No Nation. Go ahead and get your ticket right now. And if you can afford to, do not forget to donate. We have an amazing lineup of speakers. Guys, I don't bluff. When I told you guys I was going to bring some incredible speakers to NerdKnight, I delivered. When I said I was going to bring incredible speakers, incredible guys and experts, hackers and defenders and leaders to Hack for Good meetups, I delivered. So believe me when I say Hack for Good Conference 2025 on November the 15th, and also the Hack for Good CTF is going to be absolutely mind-boggling. So you do not want to miss out. Remember, guys, the CTF is free. You're only buying ticket for the all-day conference, which is going to include an after party as well once we lock down all the details. And this is going to be in Melbourne, Australia. We are going to release an online live stream ticket eventually if we decide to do so, but you want to be at the venue in person having fun. And we are going to be doing all hands-on technical hands-on training across IT, OT, and cybersecurity. With that, thank you so much, everyone, for hanging around. Abe, I really genuinely want to thank you for being here, for hanging around with me today. Hopefully, I haven't weirded you out with my trash talks and all the fun stuff that we talked about, but it's been absolutely incredible chatting with you, mate, and getting to know your story a little bit more as well. Right? And I'm sure the community would like to have you again. So do you have any final words before you jump off? Sorry, you're breaking out. Sorry.
Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go for it now.
It was great being on Semi. Looking forward to many more.
Nah, that's awesome, mate. We're gonna have fun together, and who knows, we might even go hiking together.
Yeah, man. We'll take that one offline.
Let's take it off. Let's take it offline so we don't share with them our story. Guys, thank you so much for showing up with me every single week. Like I promised, this show is going to get even better. So do not lose focus. Oh yeah, Fame, you have won yourself. Almost won yourself. One ticket. You need to tell us what country we're going to. There are 2 countries that we're going to. Okay, I just gave the answer out. So, Fame, you have won yourself a ticket to Hck4G conference if you are in Melbourne, Australia. And if you're not in Melbourne, I think that's going to be a very expensive ticket back to come to Melbourne to come to Hck4G conference. If you're not in Melbourne, we can send you a live stream, version of the show so you can be part of it. So, thanks so much everyone for being here. This has been incredible. I've actually had so much fun. Next week, we're going to be doing a Learn From Me episode or segment, Learn With Me. So I'm going to be essentially just learning something new, and you guys can join in. And as always, you guys know that it's your boy, Semi Chucks, the founder and group CEO of the Link Group and CyLynk, and also the founder and executive director of Hck4G. And with you together, we are going places and we're winning together. With that, peace out.